Hey yo, GOAT format players, it's Skill Brown Magician here, and I'm back with another profile with the spice. And yeah, you guys, I know it's been so long, but I have more content on the way, and I'm really looking forward to getting back into GOAT format and yeah, giving you guys some videos to look forward to. So this deck profile, it's Ninja Return, and yeah, it's based around Strike Ninja, which is just one of the coolest cards. If you don't know about it, it's a level 4 Dark Warrior type monster with 1700 attack, so pretty favorable typing, 1200 defense, so lives through Sook, and his effect is what makes him so interesting. And you know, he's kind of like a rogue deck fan favorite card, and we don't get to see him often. So here's my contribution to Strike Ninja GOAT format content on YouTube. His effect is banish 2 of your own dark monsters in your own graveyard, and then he banishes himself until the end phase. So it allows you to dodge things like Mirror Force, Ring of Destruction, um, Chaos Sorcerer trying to banish you, and you can do this during either player's turn, which, if you're banishing 2 dark monsters from your graveyard, you're setting up your banish pile for big plays later. So rerun monsters like Dekoichi, which finds itself all 3 copies banished fairly often, right? Rerun the Spice in Giant Orc. Look at that card art. That's just super dope, dude. He's super jacked. He's like super naughty. Uh naughty in the term like his veins look naughty. He's not a naughty boy, but maybe he is. He's a dark type. I don't know. I'm going too far into this. Um then we have Blowback Dragon as another powerful option to bring back with, of course, our closer, our ace card, return from the different dimension. So this is the idea behind my deck profile. And let me go ahead and show you my Ninja Return profile. Look at this. This is so satisfying to look at. Just take it in for a second. I know, I work so hard on these for you guys. Anyways, okay, so let's look at the actual profile. We have the monster spell trap count on the side here. It says 18 monsters, 13 spells, 9 traps. In reality, because we have the 2 reinforcement of the armies, it's really like we're running 20 monsters, then we have the 11 spells, and then the 9 traps. So it's really nicely balanced. And I want to go over the card by card. Well, not card by card, but I want to go over some of the card choices. So let's go into the card choices here and what I was able to squeeze into this Strike Ninja deck. So I try to make this as optimal as possible. It is kind of more of a rogue deck, and just we're all fans of Strike Ninja and we want him to work. We think back to like the Ninja Monarchs, Ninja Control decks with Tomato, and I think, what is it, Scout Plane. Anyways, in my version of the deck, I really wanted to just use the cards that are dark and they're good cards. So I went with Gravekeeper Spy because it sets up for Blowback Dragon, and it's just a great wall and allows us to, stall for a couple of turns. Dekoichi just burns through our deck super quickly, and it's great when it's knocked. I'll go more into the stratagems and some of the key points of the deck after, so I'll give you kind of my insight after, I've piloted this deck now for a while. Then we have the 1 copy of Cyberjar, super great with this deck. Obviously, we have the triple Giant Orc, so Cyberjar's effect of sending 5 and normal or special summoning the monsters can work really well in this deck. We have the 1 Sinister Serpent as fodder for our Phoenix Wing Wind Blasts, also super useful with Graceful, obviously, and then setting up for Blowback Dragon as well. I'm running triple Giant Orc because I'm just trying to get damage on my opponent, and he forces your opponent to react to him. And I'll explain that more in the stratagems. But he's really useful because he ends up in the graveyard fairly easily, right? Because once you attack, hopefully you're attacking direct, with the 2200, um, or you're swinging over a problematic monster that you're trying to clear. Then, because he's put into defense, they're gonna try to clear him off the board. They don't want him to last the 2 turns, put back into attack, and swing for another 2200. So they're gonna kill him, send him to the graveyard, and then Strike Ninja's effect can then send him, and with return from the different dimension, you just have this 2200 body on deck in your banish pile, which is super dope. So I almost wanted to name this like Giant Ninja Return, but it was a little lengthy, and I had already typed in Ninja Return, so I didn't want to move things around. This is what I'm really happy with. Man, I just really prioritize getting all the banished warriors in this deck. I run 2 copies of Strike Ninja. I've played 3 in the past, but it's just he's not good early game when you don't have any darks in the graveyard, and he can be a little clunky and awkward to play with because you kind of got to normal summon and get guys into the graveyard first, and sometimes your flips get banished, so you don't have anything in graveyard for a little bit, and yeah, so I just like him at 2. I'm running the 1 copy of DD Warrior Lady. I know she's not a dark, but she is very similar to Strike Ninja in the sense that she can basically choose when she wants to get banished, because as long as you can attack with her, you can decide whether or not you want to banish her. And then guess what? Because it's return from the different dimension, you can use her to clear 2 different monsters on the same turn. So you can go into your battle phase, attack with DD Warrior Lady, banish itself to banish your opponent's monster, pop return, bring her back again. Your opponent won't get back the monster that was banished. You'll just get back DD Warrior Lady and whatever else you have stacked up in your banish pile with this deck, because I built it well. And yeah, you get to use DD Warrior Lady again to blow stuff up, which is super nice. Obviously, the 2 copies of Rhoda, it's like you're running 5 banishers in your deck. You're running essentially 4 Strike Ninjas. So I'm really happy with this build and what I was able to squeeze in here. Obviously, I have like all the Trinity pieces, and I was even able to squeeze in the double Upstart Goblin. So you are just getting through this deck quickly. You're stacking on the damage. And then I like the Phoenix Wing Wind Blast just because I like setting my opponent back for a turn and doing graveyard manipulation. We have the Prima and Call, so being able to set up darks in your graveyard, obviously for Strike Ninja's effect, but also for Call and Prima shenanigans, is really nice. The 1 copy of Dust Tornado is so sweet with Return because the secondary effect allows you to set, so you can set another trap in their end phase. Uh, so you can go like, they set something during their main phase 2, they go into their end phase. You flip Dust Tornado to pop their back row, which they can't activate in response because they just set it and it's in their end phase. And then with Dust Tornado's second effect, you can set your return, which is sitting protected in your hand, and now you set it during their end phase, which is going to be ready to be used immediately starting your turn, which is just super nice. I think that you could run 2 copies of Dust Tornado if you want, and you could bring out a copy of Phoenix Wing Wind Blast if you so wanted to, but up to you. Anyways, let's get into the stratagems. If you've made it this far, I appreciate you listening. These are like the key points of the deck, and this is after I've piloted the deck. So I'm going to give you the main teaching points, and thanks for sticking around. I'd really appreciate the like, the comment, the sub, because I do work hard, and it helps me out, helps motivate me for making cool, dope content for you guys, and I feel like I like to make it look dope and look pretty for you guys because I know it's nice to look at that way. Anyways, let's get into the key points. First, flip monsters. Getting knocked is good in this deck. You really got to think of it like this. You set your Dekoichi down, and if you get that knocked turn 1, your return from the different dimension is a 4200 shotgun barrel already loaded because you have 3 Dekoichis, and that thinned your deck and now your return is just going to be that much more powerful. This also is true with Gravekeeper Spy. Obviously, not as much damage, but you can get 3,600 on deck with that, which is pretty good. But ideally, you don't want your uh, Gravekeeper Spies to get knocked. We have Phoenix Wing Wind Blast. I really kind of wanted the division of labor in this deck to be very clear in my own head as I was playing. I know that Phoenix Wing Wind Blast allows you to choose any card that your opponent controls, but more often than not, you use it to clear their back row. You want to get rid of their spells and traps, and then you rely on things like your Nobleman of Crossout, your DD Warrior Lady. If you have your Blowback Dragons ready, you use those to clear monsters. Blowback Dragon's the same. It has that utility piece where you can target anything your opponent controls. But really, there's this division of labor where Phoenix Wing Wind Blast, it helps out because you only have really, you have like MST, Heavy Storm, two Phoenix Wing Wind Blasts. So now you have four ways of clearing their back row. And it just, you want to clear the field before you go in for your big game shot. So that's my solution for it. Something to realize, and I really like this method of using return and just thinking of return, is you make your opponent exhaust all of their spell and traps before you flip return for game. How do you do that? You throw Giant Orc, a 2200 beater, and you make it so that he's attacking for a lot of life points. And they're gonna want to use their back row to clear him. That is good because if you clear their back row and you know they have nothing in the back row, now you know that your return is going to go off unchecked and you're going to be able to bring back all of these monsters. If you have a strike ninja on the field and then your giant orc gets killed as it's attacking in, which a lot of the times that happens because it's 2200 and no one wants to eat that shot often because it's a lot. So it really just, it's a nice way of forcing them to use back row so that your return doesn't get interrupted and you paid half your life points for nothing. So that's kind of going back to the last key point of the Phoenix Wing Wind Blast, taking out their back row, and then you use your monster effects and noblemen to clear their monsters to get that open field. So something that I really appreciated in other content I've seen on YouTube is seeing the set order. And what I mean by that is which monsters should you set first? When I first started playing GOAT format, I understood Nobleman of Crossout, but I just didn't understand the strategy. In my opinion, um, at least with this build, I want to set the Dekoichis first because, like I said, if they get banished, you have 4,200 life points for your return. After Dekoichi, that's when I go to the Sangan and this Sinister Serpent. You don't want your Serpent to get hit all the time because it's useful, and especially with the two copies of Phoenix Wing Wind Blast, it's nice when you get to use Wind Blast with Serpent. But GK Spy is really important because it sets things up where it's like a wall. Also, it helps set up your blowback dragon, makes those plays like so free. And yeah, you just want to be a little more reserved. And then the last card you want to set, just so you can avoid all their noblemen of crossouts, avoid their mind control. That's when you set the cyber jar. You set it dead last, just because you really want that effect to go off, and it can change the outcome of the game. So this is my Strike Ninja Return deck. I really like it. Super solid, and I'm satisfied with the lineup. Um, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I have more content coming your way. If you've stuck around this long, please say that you've stuck around this long in the comments and tell me a profile that you'd like to see on the channel, and maybe I'll do that next. All right. Until the next video, see you guys later, and I'll be posting again soon. Take care. Peace, guys.